I expect that there will be continued removals. I think it's a very viable and appropriate issue for defendants to consider. Obviously, not all defendants have the opportunity to remove a case, but for those who do, I think they're seriously considering the possibility of removing cases. One of the factors that has changed over the last few years is the change, particularly in most recent times, with the MDL. It's no longer the black hole. It's changing in many ways. And the court has told us, the federal court has told us, that the cases will be moving. We will get trial dates. We already have many case management orders. So there will be defendants who, and they have a right, it's a statutory right, to consider and actually exercise to remove cases. And I think we'll continue to see more removals, and we've seen that trend even in the last year or two. Now, likewise, plaintiffs have rights, which they will consider and as appropriate exercise, and that will be to try to either defeat the removal or to determine ways in which the case will only be in part removed. Either because there will be select defendants who will be sued in state court, and perhaps the removable defendants will be in a separate action. And I also think plaintiffs are seriously considering the types of claims or causes of action. We've seen recently from a few courts that they consider the cases removable, and an example would be under federal officer, removable as to certain claims. One recent example was a court in Northern California, district judge ruled that a design defect claim was appropriate for an equipment defendant to remove, but yet the judge did not think the failure to warn claim met the colorable federal defense requirement. So I think you're going to see more removals, or at least continued removals by select group of defendants. I think you're going to see plaintiffs responding to that. The plaintiffs' bar is very clever and they're great counterpunchers, and I think that's what we're starting to see, is that counterpunch. And then I think finally what we're going to see is federal courts dealing with the issue. There have been probably, if we look back over the last couple of years, there have probably been more attempts to remove and therefore more rulings on motion to remands than we had seen for maybe 5 or 6 years before. And then circling back to one of my earlier points is I do think what we'll see is a change with MDL. And it remains to be seen at what volume level the federal court is really ready and equipped to handle these cases. But we all know it's never going to be at the level that we've seen at the state court level. So you have to assume that the federal court's going to be able to.